The Battleface podcast is broadcast live on Fridays and Sundays, and we encourage you to come hang out and chat with Bard and Dare live. Now, prepare to declare attacks. You are entering the Battle Phase. Hello everyone! You have entered the Battle Phase! It is I, the Midnight Bard, your favorite bard! And joining me as always is everybody's favorite co-host, Hamofan and Borganon.
We have internet.
We have internet!
But a will to live is a different story.
Yes. You said a world to live?
Sure.
You said a will to live?
Sure.
Okay. You okay?
Sure. What's our first story, Bard?
Well, the first story is that we're doing things a little differently today. The format of the show is going to remain largely the same, but in order to cut down on click noises from my mouse, I've decided to put everything on a slideshow presentation. So now, allow me to present for the first time in... Well, I've done this before, so it's not the first time, but allow me to present... Ta-da! The Battle Phase Podcast slideshow! Ba-ba-da-da!
You're doing great.
Yay!
You're doing great, son.
Hello, Gargoyle. Royal Gargoyle now. He's been promoted. He was Gargoyle, and now he's Royal.
Quite regal.
Quite regal indeed, yes. Very much so. To start our show, I would like to remind everyone in the chat, hey, before we begin, remember to like, subscribe, and share. We here at the Battle Phase Podcast want to grow as much as we can. So, liking, subscribing, and sharing is one of the ways that you can help us. Once we get to be really, really huge podcasters, we might do things like bring on special guests, like my grandma. My grandma.
You want to tune in for that?
Yeah.
His grandma makes the best cookies.
She does. My grandma said that if we can get to 100,000 subs, she'll be on an episode. But she is 90, so the sooner we get there, the better. All right, but now that we've milked that joke for all it was worth.
This is gonna be really weird.
What are you doing this week, Dare?
It's trying to get back to normal schedule stuff, because not having internet and power for a week has put me back quite far.
Were you able to go to work during that time?
Yeah, but not really able to do my job.
Yeah, you mentioned once that you had no internet, so you were just kind of
Kentucky.
Yeah. You had told me that you were sitting and just listening to one of your coworkers complain because there was like no internet, so you couldn't exactly work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun times.
Whenever the internet goes out, I just go to bed. I work from home.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
No, you would say shooter gotta drive all the way to Kentucky. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's
probably not the best combination of people to send, but okay.
That sounds rough. If I wanted to drive out of Texas, it would take me like 2 days. I'm in like smack dab in an area where it's like, hey, either way you go, you're gonna be in Texas for a while. So, like north, east, west, or south doesn't matter, man. You're in Texas, and you're gonna be there for a while. One time we tried to go to Oklahoma, man, and that took forever. I was like, And whenever I hear somebody say like, hey, yeah, I went to the adjacent state for a day, I was like, how long did it take you? They're like, like an hour. I'm like, what? That's insanity. I can't imagine. It's, you know what? Moving on. I'm watching anime.
I was gonna say we're doing this awfully quick today.
I'm watching anime. Let's see. Gargoyle says I'm recording right now on the phone. Oh, that's cool. Like recording for your new YouTube channel. You have been mentioning about it. So the anime that I'm watching is one called Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena. And this has actually surprised me quite a bit because it seemed kind of like one of those things that was one of the seasonal throwaways. Like, yeah, this is new this season, but you could watch this or you could not. We don't care. But it had a bunch of like really good things that I liked. For one thing, the animation is clean, and that looks just so good to the point where I kind of wonder what their budget was because there's some action sequences that are so well animated that in my head all I can think about is like, wow, that must have been expensive. And it looks like it's just one season thus far, and it's pretty basic story. It's kind of one of those episodic type of anime where your main character will travel from place to place because they are a wanderer. And just it takes kind of a episode of the week type format where it's like there's no continuous story here. It's this witch traveling from continent to continent, and whenever she gets there, she has adventures. Like sometimes they're connected to previous episodes, sometimes they're not.
Sometimes she just does stuff.
Yeah,
Sometimes she doesn't do stuff.
sometimes she
You tune
does.
in next week to see what she does or doesn't do.
It's something cool that I can do now because we're on a slideshow is the following, where it says, I have the pros and cons for this anime, and the pros that I have are the voiceover performance is fantastic. There isn't a single character in this anime that I feel gave a weak performance. Even like minor characters were just really, really good. It's got top tier animation. I mean, like there were episodes with these epic battle scenes, which feels weird that you would get in like the middle of an anime. In my head, I'm like, this could have just as easily been like the season climax, but it's episode 3. You know what I'm saying? So this is so weird that you would have this. As a matter of fact, the first episode has kind of like a witch duel, and it is just so beautifully animated. It's weird, dude. I was very excited for it. Is what I'm trying to say. The cons: if you like a long running story, this has an episodic story format, which can be good, can be kind of like whatever. I mean, like I find that I kind of get bored whenever a story doesn't go anywhere, or whenever characters just kind of wander around doing nothing. But this one kind of compensates for it in that whenever she reaches a new continent, there is a story to tell. It's not like, hey, she arrived at which a lot of these, kind of like slice of life and kind of episodic things kind of fall into kind of fall prey to this problem where they'll just be doing stuff. It's like, oh yeah, well, they went grocery shopping. They went on a trip. While they were on a trip, they went grocery shopping, and it's just kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm not interested though. Like give me a reason to care. And this one sets up like self-contained stories really well. So I feel like I put a question mark at the end of the episodic story format because it's not technically a weakness, although I can understand why some people would believe it so. And then another thing that I kind of put at this might be a con, not for me, but like this might be a con. I can understand how people would see this as a shortcoming of the show, is that the tone can vary very wildly. There are episodes that are very happy, very wholesome, and there are episodes that play kind of like a Greek tragedy where like you see like the writing on the wall very early on, like in certain episodes where you're like, oh, this is gonna hurt, isn't it? And by the time you've reached the conclusion, you're like, whew, walking away from that one, and I don't know if I'm going to feel good about humanity ever again. And then the next episode is a funny story about a king who used magic to make sure that nobody in his kingdom could lie. And at face value, that one was kind of like a one of the more lighthearted ones. I was like, yeah, this king couldn't trust anyone around him, so he hired a witch to make sure that everyone in his kingdom was under a spell that prohibited them from lying. And an unforeseen side effect of that is that people suddenly stop talking altogether because they just couldn't deal with the fact that they were incapable of ever just keeping a thought to themselves. Every time that they would talk, they would just say exactly what they were thinking. And that kind of led to like a lot of like problems, as you could imagine. Like if you say exactly what's on your mind at all times, you're not going to be a very popular person. And then suddenly, if everybody is saying exactly what's on their minds at all times, it kind of becomes a problem. So the kingdom just kind of like went quiet. Nobody would speak for fear that they might say what's exactly on their mind, which I feel is kind of like a poignant commentary on the fact that if we censor people's ability to say what they want to say, eventually they'll just stop talking altogether, because you can't trust people to be able to take conversation as it is without trying to just kind of take control of the narrative, right? And me personally, as a person, I feel like people should be protected in saying what they must say. But at the same time, I feel like people should have the capacity to choose to say what they want to say. And we just kind of have to roll with those punches. Lord Mordor in the chat says, those moments when you can clearly see the point a studio's art animation budget dried up and the quality plummets from a scene to a whole episode. Yeah, unfortunately, that is kind of a thing that happens every now and then. You can kind of tell based on like from one episode to the next, you can tell that the budget went dry and now they're having to take a lot of shortcuts. Luckily that wasn't the case for this one. So I mean, like this is a good anime so far. I haven't finished it, so I can't say for sure if the story has like kind of like an overarching point, like like if from episode 1 to the last episode, if we're gonna have like some kind of bigger meaning. But here we are. Anyway, as I was saying, people shouldn't be prohibited from speaking. I'm done with that.
Yeah, it's just like he's still going.
Moving on, we finally have both of our official arts for the podcast. Yours and mine, Dare. Like I've had mine for a while, but I had been struggling making yours for a long time, and finally I arrived at a pose, at a scene that kind of like made sense. And I just ended up really happy with the way it looks. So now, for everyone watching, this is the official artwork for Dare and myself.
It's like you're a street urchin. I'm a kingpin.
Yeah. That's right. So
And by street urchin, I mean sea urchin.
yeah, I am a sea urchin. I have the move Baneful Bunker, and I use it so that whenever opponents try to hit, they get poisoned instead. You ever see a show called like Kings of Pain? It's this show about like an Australian dude and like I guess he's American, I'm not sure, but they travel all
I'm
across
assuming you were like referencing like a TCG or a video game, and then you're just like, oh, hey, you ever watch this anime, this
Oh,
TV show?
yeah, well, Baneful Bunker was a Pokemon thing. That's the Pokemon Marini.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But then it reminded me of Kings of Pain.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, it reminded me of Kings of Pain because the guys would travel across the world and let themselves get bitten by like some of the most painful animals, and then just kind of like rate the bite and the sting on a pain index. It was
Well, it's the pain index is actually made up because some dude like did that.
yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember what the pain index is actually called, but they named it after the dude because he was just like, I'm gonna travel the world and get stung by a bunch of stuff and then tell you how bad it hurts.
That's right, and they basically kind of follow his list of the animals that he got bitten by. That's actually kind of the whole premise of the show, and
The Schmidt Sting Pain Index.
yeah, that's right. So they get bitten by all the usual suspects like the bullet ant and like I don't
Tarantula hawk. Most likely.
Yes, the tarantula hawk was particularly brutal. But the reason that I brought that up is because I was talking about Marini, the sea urchin Pokemon, and a sea urchin was one that they had to get bitten by, which I'm like, how do you get bitten by those? And you don't get bitten. They basically like held one in their hand and then just kind of like pressed their arm against it until the spines entered their skin. I was like, oh, I could never.
Well, see what's even worse about sea urchins is those spines are very brittle,
Yeah.
and they're brittle on purpose. So like whenever a creature gets the spines in them, they'll
Mhm.
break
Yeah.
and then just be stuck in there.
It was something that because they have like a medic that follows them around, and it was the one thing that he said during the episode too is like, hey, if that broke inside you, we're gonna have to remove it. So he's like, the best thing that we can hope is that it's a clean, in and out, and that I don't have to go in there to take pieces out. And I was like, oof. But
Yeah, because it would just continue to break and just be shrapnel
yeah,
inside your arm.
wonder how they survive, says Gargoyle. And this is a group thing you guys may wanna may do, but it's an anime and it's one of those really cringe ones. Oh, so you think that we should do an anime with our characters and then like make it like a really cringe one? It would have to be like
It'd be a love story between us.
I was gonna say like a slice of life romance thing, but it's like super cringy with a lot of fan service. I'm wearing the schoolgirl outfit.
I I don't want to comment on that. See, what I like is you were like, we're gonna start out with the sad stuff, and then it's here's this anime, here's our artwork.
Yeah, well, we're up to it now.
It's
The
super
WWE remembers
depressing.
Darren Drozdov.
Yeah,
Yeah,
draws and or puke was his other name that he went by.
yeah.
I think
This
it
is kind of
was
a big
last.
year for losing people on the WWE.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because these are all people that I like grew up watching as a kid.
Yeah.
Um, I think last week or the week before, I was telling you
Mm-hmm.
about draws because this is the guy that um, he was wrestling against D'Lo Brown,
Yeah.
and they don't know what happened exactly, but D'Lo put him up on his shoulders and power bombed him, and it like severed his spine, and he became paralyzed from the neck down. So, but
I
he
do
always
remember
like
you mentioning that.
he always kept like a positive outlook on life even after he was paralyzed, and he was like, you got to live life to the fullest, live every day like it's like your last. It was a big loss for the
Yeah.
wrestling community,
Well,
and the tribute they did to him was really nice and touching.
mm-hmm. What was the tribute?
But they always do like a tribute video during the live show, so they did a video on like his career and everything in his life,
Yeah.
and it ended with that picture there, Darren Drozdov.
Right. Well, that's nice. Like it's really nice that they, like because every one of these wrestlers is a huge part. And I want to say hello to Idiotic Synergy in the chat. Every one of these wrestlers is a huge part of like this, this what would you call it? Like a scene, like a community. And it's nice that none of them feel so small that they wouldn't take the time to remember them whenever they go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's really touching of the WWE to do this. And like I said, this seems to have been to be like a weird year where we're just kind of losing a lot of them. So, you know, uh,
but I think so far, within like the past month or two, there's been 4 or 5
yikes,
wrestlers that have passed.
that's a lot. That it's really poignant because like it reminds me that like just recently I saw like a picture of Tony Hawk, which every time that I picture Tony Hawk in my head, he's just like this dude in his 20s doing sick kick flips, right? But now,
He is no longer a dude in his
no,
twenties, dude.
he hasn't been
He's
a dude in
what,
his
probably
20s.
40.
Yeah, he's in his 50s.
He's yeah.
Yeah, so like he in this picture that I saw of him recently, he's using a cane. And in my head, I'm like, whoa, why is he using a cane? He's Tony Hawk. Did he kickflip too hard? And they're like, no, he's just old. And I'm just like, oh shit.
Well, there's the same thing with like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Just if you see anything about like Hulk Hogan, or he always just looks still like muscular and everything for his age, but like on AEW, which is I think he's like a manager or something there.
Mm.
He's walking around with a cane because he's old and had multiple incidences, and I
Yeah.
think he had a stroke or some kind of
Ooh.
thing recently where it like partially paralyzed him, and that's why he's walking with a cane now.
Yikes, that's rough, man. But yeah, so that sucks to hear, and like R.I.P. to Darren Draws. It's well, he will be missed. Um,
He will be missed.
and continuing on this little bit of a sad train, it has been 1 year since we lost Kazuki Takahashi. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's another thing that happened.
Yeah, yeah. Kazuki Takahashi a year ago passed away by drowning in an attempt to save people who had been caught in a riptide. So the man, the
And
legend, the talent behind Yu-Gi-Oh, the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, you know,
honestly, like if there is a way to go, that is the way that you want to be remembered. Is
yeah,
oh he didn't just go out and drown. He was trying to save a wife and her. I think it was a mom and a kid
I think it was a mom and a
that
kid. Yeah.
he like jumped in and was trying to save them, and it's like
Yeah, I
oh
remember this was a little bit of a roller coaster ride, whenever it first happened, because they wouldn't tell you what happened. They just told, like the first headline was like, "Hey, he was found. He had drowned off the coast of Japan," and like they didn't tell you what happened. And the next thing I hear is like, "Oh yeah, the U.S. Army was involved," and I was like, "What?" And apparently he was on a part of Japan that has like a U.S. military base on it. And so whenever the mom and the kid were dragged out to sea, and Kazuki Takahashi went out there, apparently like the U.S. military got involved, attempting to help also. And if I'm not mistaken, the mom and the child survived, but Kazuki Takahashi himself did not. So yeah, that
yeah.
1 year.
Ever since then, we've had horrible Yu-Gi-Oh ban lists, horrible Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes,
I feel like Konami has been
horrible,
like really.
horrible tier one,
Uh, I
horrible tier one
well,
format.
firstly, Tier Elements came out while he was still alive, so I don't know that I
I'd
would say
still
that.
blame the format. That was still because of his death.
Yeah, but that being said, I hear, and this is something that I just heard through the grapevine, but apparently, people did put up kind of like memorials to him during Anime Expo while they were there. So like if you look through the internet, there's these cute little pictures where people have his picture framed, just like leaning against a column, and everybody who walks by kind of like leaves a card.
Well,
Uh,
that was something that when he actually passed away, something that I thought was really nice of like the Yu-Gi-Oh community itself was everybody on like Facebook and social media and everything changed their profile picture to their favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like a thanks for the childhood memories and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, like, this show went hard, and yeah, it's one of the top 32 most profitable franchises in history. I think. Last I checked,
It's
it
one of the big three in TCGs.
is one of the big three TCGs. Like people like to rag on Yu-Gi-Oh for being the odd child, not like Pokemon, not like Magic. But the thing is, you can't knock it off the top three. Card games come and go, but Yu-Gi-Oh stays where it stays.
And that's I think there's been like more of I don't know how it is around here. I'm assuming it's probably still toxic between the different card game communities, but at least like here there's like a sense of understanding of oh yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's the more difficult one to play and Magic's this and Pokemon's that and there's like good acceptance
Yeah,
between the three
it
communities.
it feels like anytime that there's like an us versus them, there will always be some level of toxicity, right? So Magic players will always be like, yeah, Magic's the superior game. Yu-Gi-Oh players are just weebs, and Yu-Gi-Oh
Old
players will.
school RuneScape players will be like, "Oh, RuneScape 3 is bad," and RuneScape 3 players will be like, You get good scrub.
Yeah, and D&D players are always like, ah, 5th edition? Nah, man, take me back to 3rd edition when things made sense. And so,
Okay, 3.5 was obviously
there we
superior
go.
than
Yeah,
all
I
of
knew it.
it.
I knew it. So, somewhere along there, we were gonna hit a nerve. But yeah, so like, my scene is toxic because apparently, like, we have a lot of people who go to YCSs, so there feels like there's not a lot of tolerance for people who play the game casually. So whenever you go to a locals, you go to play hard, or you don't go at all. So it's kind of that.
I'm
Uh,
taking Mystic Mind to locals tomorrow because
it's
a,
banned.
a guy
Oh.
he wanted to play against me, and I was like, okay, I'll play Trickstars, and he's like, I'm gonna full combo Kashtira, and I was like, do you know what Mystic Mind does? And he's like, no, I didn't play during that time. I was like, I'm gonna show you what it does. I'm gonna make you cry.
Oh, yikes. But those are the sour notes for today. Let's move on to some other news. Naruto has declared that it's getting a spin-off, and the spin-off is based off of Minato, who, if you don't know who Minato is, that's Naruto's dad.
That's Boruto's grandfather.
That's Boruto's grandfather, yeah, and it will be out in late July. It will be by Masashi Kishimoto, who is the author for the original Naruto series. Let's see. It's a one shot, so it's not going to be like a long running series, which Kishimoto can do. I mean, he's been doing it since like what, the early 2000s, so I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to go for it. But the thing is, it's really difficult whenever you're making what's it called, prequels.
Money.
Yeah, well, for money, yes, but whenever you're making prequels, because if you somehow end up messing up your own continuity, which is super easy to do, suddenly you can kind of taint the legacy of the original work. You know what I'm saying? So by going back in time and making a story about Naruto's dad, he could accidentally Back to the Future his Naruto series. So.
So, with this being about Naruto's dad,
Hmm.
I could see this. This is what we should have got instead of Boruto.
I
Because
agree.
yeah,
Yes.
this seems like it would be actually interesting as to where Boruto is. They tried to do a thing, but
Yeah. The reason that I feel like Boruto's not doing so well is because, like, Boruto compared to Naruto is kind of a brat. And that's understandable because, like, it's as they say, the hard times make strong men make peaceful times make weak men make hard times. It's the cycle, right? So it stands to reason that during the events that Naruto lived through, which was like a ninja war and all that, those were hard times, and he had to rise to the occasion to be this very strong Hokage figure. But in doing so, he created an era of peace. And given that there isn't like stuff that's constantly threatening the longevity of the Konoha village, Boruto just kind of grew up in a lot of privilege, and as a result, he's kind of a brat. He was caught cheating on his Chunin exam. I think it was the whole controversy a while back, and people were just like, "Oh yeah, Naruto would have never," and it's like, well, of course he would have never.
it
Like,
was he bought like the ninja tools from the dude that were
yeah,
like, and Naruto was like, hey, fucking stop.
yeah, like Naruto put a stop to this. It's like, hey, you know what? Back in my day, we didn't have ninja tools. We had my ninja info cards. With my ninja info cards. What the heck are those? Ninja info cards. That's a meme from back in the day.
I I, I
Mordor,
sure,
Mordor,
fucking sure.
Mordor in the chat brings up a point that he's spoken to me in the past about, but friendly reminder that Orochimaru faced zero consequences for decades of human experimentation, terrorism, war crimes, and being a creepy mofo. This is true.
Well, something something ninja cards or whatever you just said is why.
What the heck are those ninja info cards with my ninja? I'm gonna send you the video, but
I don't want you to do that. I would be fine if you didn't.
yeah, but
What's up next?
uh,
What's up next, Bart?
up next,
What's up
Spy
next? It's not
Family.
this.
The Spy Family movie has released a trailer and the official synopsis. So this is a Spy Family, the movie Code White. You seen the trailer at all?
I have not.
You know, there is something to be said about the trailer. It's a lot easier to say with my ninja info cards. With my, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with my joke. Uh, let's see.
The mouse was hovering over the disconnect button.
uh, so basically, I'm trying to find the synopsis here. Uh, let's see. It says, per the Spy Family official website, the Tatsuya Endo written original story Code White, so it was written by the original mangaka, so that there's that. We'll see the series protagonist and top Western Intelligence Services East Division operative Lloyd Forger being removed from a mission, being removed from Operation Strix in favor of a fellow agent who he believes to be an incompetent man. Led out to dry by Weiss, his organization, Lloyd soon learns that Eden Academy School, the Eden Academy that Anya goes to, is going to be holding an open cooking competition for its students. And yeah, that's what we got regarding that. I would say more, but like it looks like it was run through a Google Translator. So I mean, like, let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Spy Family Code White synopsis. Let's see what we got here. Aha. Yes. Just trying to find like a different synopsis because that other one just kind of like crashed on me. I don't know. Like it's just a bad website or something.
I looked up the ninja info cards and holy shit, that's just fucking annoying and just I hate it. Why would you put that in my head?
Okay, so basically, it looks like it's going to be one of those things where a Stella star, which is the unit of merit that they use to measure the students at Eden Academy, which Anya needs to get a certain number of in order to become what's it called, a prestigious student at this academy. I forget what they're called, a merit scholar, whatever. But he needs that to happen in order to complete his mission, and it looks like this is going to follow an attempt to get one of those Stella stars by entering a cooking competition. So yeah, it looks like they're going to be taking a trip to a different region to try out different authentic flavors in an attempt to learn the specific flavors that the judge would be most likely to favor. So that's basically what this story is going to be. And if you guys haven't seen Spy Family, it is wholesome AF. I mean, like, this this show is funny. It's got a lot of heart. It can be very action packed. It's comedic. It's a slice of life. It's a spy thriller. It's a comedy, and it balances everything so well. So I mean, yeah, I'm kind of excited for it. You know, me personally, I've rewatched the entire series like at least 3 or 4 times. I just feel it's really, really good. Some story arcs coming up might be a little darker, but not darker. But it's just kind of like the ugly side to the world that they live in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so turn up the contrast on your screen so you can see it better.
Yeah. It's a world in the middle of a Cold War, and as a result, there's a lot of bad things that happen on both sides of the lines. So it's something that's going to be coming up. Up until now, we've been basically going through, like, I guess what we would call like the peaceful era before events start ramping up. So kind of exciting. Next up, We have the Pokemon Championships of North America happened recently, and we know who the winners are.
Did we talk about another championship that recently went on?
No,
I didn't check about if. Oh, you
but
didn't put the Yu-Gi-Oh championship
well,
on?
I did. You know, it's just you gotta wait.
Oh,
You see, you're giving away spoilers, is what you're doing.
I'm not giving away spoilers. It's just you're
my
rambling, and I'm getting antsy.
my format is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. But so we have like all of the different events that took place here at the Pokemon North American Championship qualifiers, and so we have 185 players played in the juniors division for the TCG, 192 played in the seniors division, and it looks like 1,897 competed in the Masters. And if you're kind of wondering what those are, it's basically like, the juniors are like, I think 13 and under. Seniors is like a certain age and up. And then Masters is like whoever wants to play. So
68 and up.
yeah,
Pokemon.
68s and up. So first place winners for the juniors was Drake Sue. For the seniors was Bodie Robinson, and for the masters was Cyrus Davis. They don't tell you what decks they were playing, although I'd be interested to know. However, Pokemon does this fun thing that I'm pretty sure that no other card game will adopt because it's weird and it's funny that Pokemon does it, but the championship decks that the players play in these events are eventually kind of like copied card for card and sold as championship decks at your local card shop. So like you can actually go to your local card shop and pick up like the championship deck for the last event, and it'll be 100% that deck. Now, given that it's a lot of these decks kind of like have a bunch of really rare cards in it, it wouldn't make sense to just republish those cards in like a really rare variety, right? So what they do is they make every card in the deck a common, and additionally they have it signed by the player who played that deck. Um, kind of like it's kind of like a little fun thing because you get like a competitive deck that has won an event, but without all of like the extra frills about it, right? So
Yeah.
you're not gonna get like the super rare cards, and like you're not gonna
You're
get.
not gonna get a deck full of 25th century rares.
No, 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 no. You're not gonna get any of that. So it's kind of fun. And like I personally did buy a couple like back in the day. So I have like there's like a really fun Galisapod build that I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, and it is kind of like a championship thing. And like you can take it to your locals and play it. I don't think they're legal for tournament play. The cards have different backs. Like they have like on their backs they'll have like the championship logo, which is the one that's on screen right now. So you know that, hey, this is the pre-con that somebody bought, and it's got like the signature from the previous champion who did this. So kind of an interesting thing. Konami
So
and Wizards of the Coast execs looking at the championship deck plan, going pale and clutching their wallets in fear. Yeah.
so the age divisions, because you were like, I don't know what they are.
Mhm.
Uh, People born in 2009 or later are in junior division.
Hmm.
Senior division is people born in 2005, 6, or 2005, 6, 7, and 8.
Hmm.
And master division are people who are born 2004 or earlier.
So I would
So
fall in the
you and I would
master.
be master.
Yeah, we
We're
fall in the
master
masters.
Pokemon.
Hell yeah. All we had to do is age into the system, baby. That's the way I like it. But so those are your winners. Keep an eye out, like at your local card shop. Sooner or later, their decks will be on display, which is something also that the VGC does. The VGC being the Video Game Championship. So this is if you're playing Scarlet and Violet, you can compete in the VGC. We had 40 players in the juniors, 47 in the seniors, and 768 in the masters. First place winners are Avery. Let's see, how do you even pronounce that name? Avery Velwald for the juniors, Owen Murphy for the seniors, and Alex Gomez Bema for the masters. And a lot of
Gomez, Bama.
yeah. So
That sounds like a place in Alabama.
Gomez Berna, I'm sorry. The text on
Okay,
this
it
is
doesn't
very
sound
small.
like a place in Alabama anymore.
And something so like the TCG where they released like the deck that the champion used. And I say champion, but what I mean is like the top four spots. You know, like the top four spots will get like their own decks published. But like the VGC, what they'll do is a lot of the times they'll release a code, and you'll go into the mystery gift settings for your version, and it'll give you like one Pokemon that the champion raised with the exact effort value and intrinsic value loadout, with the exact move set and the exact nature. So it's like a perfectly, fully bred Pokemon with all of the right stats and everything just ready to play. So that's something that they do. Pokemon Go, which is something that they do. It has a battle thing that they can do with it. I played it before. It's not my cup of tea, but you can if you want to. Also had a championship there, and Andrew Ford took the first place. We had 256 players in Pokemon Go, which apparently doesn't have age divisions. And
It
lastly,
doesn't take age to walk.
I guess it does
I
not.
guess it does.
Wait a minute. Yes, it does.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think people can walk until they're like 2 or 3.
Royal Gargoyle says, "I enjoy Pokemon Go. Cool. Like, what's your favorite Pokemon that you've caught? Let us know." And lastly, this is the new one. This is Pokemon Unite, which is the Pokemon League of Legends clone. And so basically, a team of 5 go into like
Yeah, it's usually a MOBA is a team of 5.
a team of 5 goes into a Summoner's Rift type scenario, and they have to score a certain amount of points. So instead of like breaking down enemy turrets like you would in League of Legends, you run around, beat up wild Pokemon, and they drop like these spheres. And the where the turret would be is basically like a basketball hoop. You go in there and you drop your spheres into the basketball hoop, and then like whenever you drop a certain amount of spheres in it, it becomes locked, and then you captured that area basically. And then you do that with the enemy nexus, and bada bing, right? So
Yeah,
it's League of Legends with Pokemon in it. Pokemon do evolve. Like for example, if you're playing Machamp, which I did whenever the game launched, you would start off with a Machop, and the more Pokemon you beat up, the more wild Pokemon that you beat up, you eventually gain the ability to evolve. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. But anyway, the team here, we have Inder Gill, Vincent Alonso, Alan Demir, Marique Kangas, and Braden Dodd took the first place, and we have 2 players in that team from Canada, and the rest of them are from the good old US of A, baby. Yeah.
yeah.
Royal Gargoyle says, almost got a Charizard shiny in one. All right, cool. And all OG starters? Yeah, it's pretty freaking great. I remember when Pokemon Go came out, dude. Like, that was a weird summer.
I don't think I could get behind another MOBA, especially if it's like Pokemon themed. It's just no.
Yeah, I mean,
But now, Mobile Suit Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, a new original series created using Unreal Engine 5 to be streamed worldwide.
that is correct. We're going to get a new Mobile Suit Gundam series that was animated using the Unreal Engine, which
Unreal Engine's really good.
it is really
So
good.
I would say as long as they like keep to the source material and they don't go away from the source material.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I think it's going to be an original project. I don't think that like the source material for it will be the script, basically. What it says here is that Bandai Namco Filmworks announced the new animation project Mobile Suit Gundam Requiem for Vengeance during the Anime Expo Industry panel on Saturday. The staff is producing the animation entirely with Epic Games' Unreal Engine 5, as previewed in a trailer that they presented at the panel. So it's my guess that it's going to be fully CGI. Um,
You're gonna have the Gundams doing the Fortnite default dance.
oh Lord, please don't. So we have, let's see here. German artist Erasmus Brosdau from previous titles such as Origin Zero, Lord Inquisitor, and Seed of Ambition is directing the project. I have never heard of any of those, so I honestly have no idea. Uh, Agustin Martinez in the chat says, "Whoa, it's already been a year since Kazuki Takahashi died. You're a little behind, my man."
That's what I was thinking. But I was like, I don't want to say that.
we 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 moved past that. Like, are you watching us live? I think
That
he,
was about 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes
it was
ago.
it was a little bit ago. Oh my. So kind of cool. The main character designer is let's see, Manuel Augusto Dishingermora, and Kimitoshi Yamane from Cowboy Bebop, Esclaflowne, and multiple Gundam projects. The guy Kimitoshi Yamane is the designer for the mechs, and Manuel Augusto is the designer for the characters. So we know the crew that's going into this. We know the artists that are going into this, but other than that, we know precious little. Other than it's being animated using the Unreal Engine 5, which is cool. So this is going to be really experimental, and if they stick the landing, it might become kind of a new industry standard. Time will tell.
Just given the fact that it's going to be done with Epic's Unreal Engine 5, it should be like good.
Other things
Like I
have been
said,
done with Unreal Engine 5 too, right?
I don't know because I think Unreal Engine 5 is like exclusively Epic's
Hmm.
to work with, and
I always hear
you'd
like
have to like use. I think you'd have to like get their permission to use it or something.
right because
I don't know though.
I always hear like different things, like like it's kind of one of the selling points whenever you see something. It's like, oh, this was done with Unreal Engine, and I've seen
Well,
it
yeah,
around.
Unreal Engine has been like the backbone of the gaming industry for a while,
Yeah,
and it's like a very common thing to use Unreal Engine to make games. But
yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 is like advanced,
Yeah, so like
and
that's like the
yeah,
latest, that's like having your iPhone 96, right? Whereas everybody else is only allowed to use their iPhone 30.
yeah, you're over here with like Windows 10, and I'm on Windows 98.
Right, right, right. So like yeah,
I'm 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 88 levels in front of you.
right. So yeah, kind of a fun thing. Next story, there's apparently a DC Comics anime verse now. We have two different like DC Comics animated series which are done in anime style, and well, one of them's a series, the other one looks like it's going to be a movie. First one is we have the show that's airing presently on Adult Swim. We have the what's it called? My Adventures with Superman, and it's basically it's a Superman show that's anime-esque, and this is anime in the same way that Teen Titans is anime, right? Where it's obviously kind of have like it has the anime aesthetic, but it has like very Western written characters, or like a
This
very
is
West.
anime in the same sense that Family Guy's anime.
No, like I certainly do feel like there's a lot of anime influence going into this Royal Gargoyle Ass Witch
The
Teen
the good
Titans,
the good Teen
the
Titans,
good Teen
the
Titans.
original anime Teen Titans, not
Right,
Teen Titans Go.
exactly. And there's one thing that I feel like we can't get away from whenever we write a show, um, and that's that we kind of lean on humor a lot like a crutch. Like we it's almost like we're afraid to tell a serious story. Which is exactly the vibes that I was getting from the show. And mind you, I've only seen the first episode, so that was very much a pilot episode, right? And
Yeah,
it follows Clark Kent, Jimmy Olsen, and Lois Lane as interns at the Daily Planet. And if there's one thing that can be said is that you get a lot of personality from the characters in the first episode to the point where you see what kind of character they're going to be. Lois is like very brash and impulsive, always chasing leads, basically a born reporter, doesn't take no for an answer, very strong-willed. Jimmy Olsen is a little bit of a conspiracy nut. He believes that there's aliens and what do you call it? Secret cabals around every corner. So like he's one of those type of reporters. And
Kobolds.
yes, and of course, what's it called? Clark is very much Clark. He is written a little bit more timid, I feel. Um, just going off of the first episode, he seems a little, because like in other iterations of Superman, he acts like like a shy person, kind of like a timid, gentle giant type of situation, but that's not who he is, right? In the it, they he's very Superman's a very interesting character, and like you guys have heard me ramble about Spider-Man in the past. I will just make it clear here: there's three superheroes who are just basically my ride or dies. These are the superheroes that I stand. These are the ones that I will always go to bat for. Number one is Spider-Man. Number two is Captain America, and number three is Superman. Those are my superheroes. These are the guys that I'm like, you can't get these guys wrong because I will raise a fuss. So with that said, I feel like Superman is a character that a lot of authors are scared to deal with, because how do you write an interesting story about a character that you can't hurt? A character who can end any fight with minimal effort. And it almost feels like you can't write a character like that well, because a lot of people, what they do is they make the story about the characters around him and just basically kind of try to sideline him. And I feel like that's a mistake. The thing is, they try to focus too much on like, okay, well, what can we put Superman against that he can't just one punch away? And I'm like, well, if you were asking that question, you already misunderstood the assignment. Superman isn't interesting because he can punch things. Superman is interesting because he will always do the right thing. So you need to put him in situations that that where his morals are kind of tested, to where you would kind of expect them to choose wrong for the sake of attempting to do the greater good. But it's kind of like a weighing, like a scales of the heart type situation, right? Where it's like his intentions are good, but like, are his actions good? But that's not kind of that's not kind of how writers put him. They're always like, oh well, put him against a huge brawler like Doomsday. I'm like, no. Like, put him in situations where he has to make a tough choice of how he needs to save people, or put him into a situation where it's not clear how he can save everyone, because that's the bottom line of Superman. Is at the end of the day, he wants to save everybody. And if you put him in a situation where that's difficult, those are the best Superman stories, because now you're testing his force of will, his characterization, like whether he's willing to kind of bend the rules for a utilitarian purpose, or if he's going to stick to what's right for the sake of it being the right thing to do. I'm getting way off track. What I'm trying to say about this show is that they characterize Clark as being very, very timid, and that worries me, because I feel like he's kind of gonna rely on Lois and Jimmy to kind of be like a little bit like his moral compass. And that's misunderstanding who Superman is. He's got to be the moral compass. He's the best of everyone. He's the ideal. And sure, sometimes he can be a little hard-headed, but like it's always coming from a good place. And so like if it's kind of like, oh, Clark is afraid to hit the bad guys until Lois tells him, hey, you got to hit the bad guys, I'm just not going to feel it. However, all of that being said, the animation looks good. It's not exactly anime. It's kind of like a hybrid of anime and American animation. It looks like somewhere between. Shoot, let me think. It looks somewhere between, not Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's a bad example. It looks somewhere between Jujutsu Kaisen and Teen Titans. It's not 100% cartoony, but it's also not 100% anime. You know what I'm saying? It hits like a really sweet spot. Um, and it's young Clark, young Lois, young Jimmy, starting off their careers as reporters, and it's Superman has a magical girl transformation. Yeah, that's a thing that
I'm
happens.
I'm just sitting here like this is just the first anime that's on the slide.
So like there is a magical girl transformation. Just to wrap it up, it looks like he doesn't have full control of his powers yet, which is another thing that writers do that ticks me off. They get a hold of Superman and they're like, oh, okay, well, how do I make him interesting? Take his powers away. That is so stupid. Stop doing that. I'm like, if you have to take Superman's powers away in order to write an interesting Superman story, you shouldn't be writing Superman. You don't understand Superman. But anyway, so like it looks like he's not in full control of his powers. So this might end up being kind of like an animated Smallville situation. So, Augustine Martinez in the chat says Superman transforms like Sailor Moon. Yeah, the magical girl transformation, right? Apparently it wasn't cool enough that he just had the suit under his clothes all the time. Now he's got to have like an epic transformation for it. Augustine Martinez says, impression I got after watching it, so I guess I'm on the right track there. Um, Royal Gargoyle says, or maybe mistakes, like perhaps pushing a little too hard. Yeah, he has to learn, right? So like if you put him in kind of like a Smallville situation where he kind of has to learn the limits of how hard he can push, which one of my favorite Superman scenes, and a lot of people feel this, but one of my favorite Superman scenes comes from the Justice League animated series, where they're fighting Darkseid, and Darkseid's kind of like this demigod type situation, and Superman just full, like no not pulling any punches, just like fucking decks him, right? And like sends him flying across the city. And he gives this one speech where he's talking about how the biggest issue, like his biggest problem, his biggest concern is that he feels like he's walking through a world made of glass because he's that strong. So he's always got to be like in full control or he might break something. And it is just one of the best Superman scenes ever written. And I'm just like, yes, like this is the iconic Superman scene right here. But anyway, moving on. Suicide Squad is also getting an isekai. A trailer has been released, and this one looks more like anime than the Superman series does. The Suicide Squad isekai, dude, like just from the animation, and I'm gonna pull this up because it feels to me like it's done by like either Wit Studio or Studio Mappa or one of those, because it's just so it's that style of animation that looks very crisp, very like with a very saturated what's it called? A very saturated color palette. Let's see. The Suicide Squad anime movie from Attack on Titan Studio. So yeah, Mappa. So let's see. It's gonna be another one of those Elsword, or actually Wit Studio.
So is it like
Yeah.
the characters are getting isekai'd into the Suicide Squad universe, or
no, they're getting isekai'd into a fantasy world. So Harley Quinn and the Joker are getting isekai'd into a fantasy world. And
that
so,
I'm not happy. I don't know if I like that.
I didn't know if I liked it either. And this is one of those things that I might watch simply because the animation is so good.
Is it like a medieval anime fantasy world, or is it like futuristic?
Oh, it's medieval, 100% medieval.
I don't know if I like this part.
So this one I can talk less about because I feel like Harley Quinn and the Joker are overplayed. So not exactly. I mean, like I didn't have a problem with them initially, but they like it's literally impossible to not see them in literally everything at this point. So
they're probably like the two most iconic Batman.
Yeah.
Joker is, and then Harley Quinn's just kind of like a sidekick.
Harley Quinn took a life of her own, just like, and you know what's funny is she was never in like the original comics. She was created for the Batman animated series. and fans just liked her so much that she just kind of stuck around. Like that's
This cute goth clown person.
yeah, cute goth clown girl. Yeah. But so yeah, they're gonna be traveling into another world. Honestly, check out the trailer. It looks really good. Uh, and that's all I can say to it because I'm not sure exactly what the plot's about. But just based off of what you see in the trailer, me personally, I'm gonna be watching it. It's Wit Studio. Wit Studio puts out a lot of bangers, so I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm I'm gonna watch it. I'm sorry. It's like even though I'm not like the biggest Joker or Harley Quinn stan, I'm gonna watch this. It looks good. Um, so closing thoughts is My Adventures with Superman. Get your act together. Suicide Squad looks good. Let's hope it has a good story. Uh,
Yeah.
Moving on, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Qualifier 2023 North American World Championship is happening right now.
Are we talking about the other Yu-Gi-Oh stuff too, or
Oh no,
is
we
this?
absolutely are. So this is
Oh,
this is
okay,
just
okay.
like, did you watch any of the
Yeah,
matches today?
I watched the one girl win against Labyrinth. I haven't watched any of the North America stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're talking about like the girl who took the European Championship with like Rika Sanavalon.
The girl who took the fucking European Championship with Farby's feather duster bar. Let's
Yeah.
not fucking get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. 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 Like so. Basically.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Though probably, maybe, I don't know. I didn't look, but
Uh,
yeah, there's actually, I think, 6 people
mhm.
that from our local card shop that are going to Worlds.
Nice. Very nice.
So
I
hoping
imagine
that they
that those are the
do.
guys who absolutely destroyed me last time I was there.
Yeah, one of them is.
Yeah, the
Remember
DDD
the one
player.
that? No,
Really, not the
the
DDD player.
Liam.
Oh God, Liam.
Yeah, see, uh, he he actually, he's like probably one of the best duelists that we have at the card shop,
Nice, very
and
nice.
he's gotten a bit toxic. So
Ah,
he did good. He got his invite, and we're wishing him and the other 5 people luck with the worlds.
yeah, yeah. What do you think of this format that we're in? I think that it hasn't changed much. I think Cash is still by and large the best deck.
Cash
Um,
is by and large the best deck, but it's not. It's not undefeatable.
yeah, it's not undefeatable.
Uh,
It's the best
I
deck, but uh,
I feel like they need to hit it a little more.
hmm.
It's still a little too strong in my opinion, but
I mean, if you can beat it by summoning a lava golem onto their side of the field, it's whatever, right?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
if you want to main deck Lava Golem,
I do
you would.
in
You
Labyrinth.
you would.
Yeah,
Yeah, you. Bard, why?
because like firstly, most of my monsters are going to be summoned off of my Labyrinth traps, right? So I feel 100% safe running 3 lava golems because like if I'm going second and somebody sets up a bunch of stuff like an Alpalooza, your Borreload Savage Dragon or whatever, your Castira Arise Hearts, I just lava golem
Well,
them.
have you seen like the new tech that the OCG's playing in Labyrinth?
The furniture?
Well, they're playing that, but they're also playing. It's some. It was reprinted in Ghost from the Past.
What is
Uh,
it?
yeah, I'm looking it up because I don't remember the name. It's like Defender something. Defend Attacker. Defense
Hmm.
Attack Boy.
Not
The
not a clue.
Battleborg of Defense and Attack.
And that sounds like a
Um,
Yu-Gi-Oh card name. I don't know.
I am not seeing this
Okay.
card.
Uh,
Talk about words and stuff while I
a-
look for this.
anyway, we're moving on. We have new archetypes that were revealed recently, which look kind of cool. You know, one of them is a waifu archetype because Yu-Gi-Oh players love those, and that's
Yeah, the Twisted Witch and the Snake Eyes
yeah,
archetype.
Diabell Star, the Dark Witch, and then the Snake Eyes, which Snake Eyes had a card already printed in the TCG, right? It was like the spell, and now they're just adding the archetype that goes with it. Is that right?
Maybe.
That's
I,
what it looks like to
I
me.
I'd have to see what the spell card is.
Okay, so
Uh,
Diabell Star says that you can special summon her from your hand by sending one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard. And then you can use each of her following effects once per turn. If it's normal or special summon, you can set one tainted treasure. Oh, so she works with the Snake Eyes.
yeah, this is going to be like another like Albaz,
I
um,
see.
Albaz, whatever the Spriggans. That's it. Albaz Spriggans,
Yeah,
like
so
Despia type
yeah,
thing, where the archetypes are intertwined within each other,
the
but they're
Abyss
going to be
lore.
their separate things.
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. So is she like the new Albaz or like the new Visa Starfrost or whatever?
Maybe,
Okay.
I don't know, but the card art is what got my attention on this, because if you look at the Snake Eyes dude on the right,
Yes.
he just fucking looks badass. It's a
He does look.
giant like blue flaming snake dragon.
He is, and so the Snake Eyes stuff, like, so it's basically going off of like this one spell card. It's called like the Sinisters, whatever. Man, what's it called? I can't remember.
Sinister Serpent.
No, 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 no. It's called like the Tainted Treasure of whatever Snake Eye, and both that spell card and this dragon operate kind of like in a crystal beast valence type situation that they work by moving either your stuff or your opponent's stuff into the spell and trap card zone as removal. So
Yeah,
it kind of looks like that's basically going to be this archetype's whole gimmick, you know. So if your opponent has a bunch of monsters active on the field, you can just kind of push them into the back row, like, nope, you don't do nothing now.
well,
Uh,
it pushes them in the back row, and then I believe the boss monster, the dude on the screen,
mm,
steals cards in the back row.
let me see here. It says
So
you can
it's basically anti crystal beast slash valence.
right. So let's see. You can target one monster in the graveyard or face up on the field. Place it face up in the owner's spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target one monster card on the field being treated as a continuous spell, special summon it to your field. So yeah, you're right. He does that. And then if he's sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you can special summon two level 1 fire monsters from your graveyard. And I'm going to guess that there's other fire monsters that go into this archetype.
Yes, all of their that was another thing I was going to say. All of the other monsters in the archetype are level 1,
Hmm.
and their like naming conventions are pretty cool in my opinion,
Yeah.
because they're all they're like different woods. So I think like one of them's called uh like Snake Eyes Orc or Oak in
Hmm.
the OCG, and then there's like Snake Eyes, I think Willow.
That's interesting. Okay, so like, well, sure.
What was that noise?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just why would that
Because
just?
wood burns. It's a fire archetype.
I
They're
guess
they're on fire.
sure. The
Don't
next,
don't act like calling them Snake Eyes is weird, because do I have to bring up what Skyfang's turned into?
fur hires.
Yeah.
Yeah, fur hires are great. But this next one is one that I thought that you would have talked about, but you actually didn't bring it up at all. The fans show VTubing is here to stay at Hololive's first North American concert.
I watched the first North American concert. It was pretty great.
Okay, so like you
I watched it in a completely legal and not on Discord way.
Oh, I see, I see. But yeah, it was it happened during Anime Expo. It's one of those concerts where like the VTuber models are rendered live on stage using cool craft type situation, like cool tricks of the
Witchcraft,
trade.
yeah.
Yeah, witchcraft. Not at all like smoke and mirrors. Not any of that. But yeah, in doing so, they put all of the VTubers live on stage to perform idol style, several songs.
And this was, I believe, their uh, the the first North American VTubing show. This was the first for Hololive EN. So it
Yeah.
wasn't just like the five that they're showing on the stage, but it was also the second gen EN, as
Oh.
well as Iris, which is she's in Iris is in like a middle ground between the two because she's not Gen 1 or Gen 2. I think she's called Hololive Hope.
Hmm.
So she's like her own thing, which is okay, I guess. But
So, out of curiosity, can you give us a lineup of all of some of the big names that we saw there?
you, you, well, there's the five on screen. You have, I, I want to say their full name, but I don't know if I can say it's Ina Nome Nist.
Hmm.
She's supposed to be like the Eldritch Cthulhu person. I can't say
Right.
Cthulhu language. And then there's Amelia Watson, Takahashi Kiara.
Hmm.
Takanashi Kiara. I'm gonna fucking hate myself because I'm gonna mispronounce all of these names. Mori, Calliope Mori, Amelia Watson, Gargura, and then I don't really know Gen 2 that well to say their names.
Lurkbron says, "You guys dancing? You guys dancing there?" No, unfortunately, Hololive hasn't invited us to dance on stage along with the rest of their big names.
I can't dance, but I would try.
I would try and fail. Also, yes, you recall my whole spiel about Dance Dance Revolution.
I
Um,
do. It took at least 2 hours to get through it.
yeah, you know how I do. Yeah, with my madness. Uh, the thing that
Madness. I was mad once. They locked me in a room, a rubber room with rats. Rats make me angry. Angry.
so the topic that just will not let me go no matter what. I mean, it's almost this feels like a toxic relationship at this point because I keep trying not to talk about Overwatch, but Overwatch keeps doing things making me look like like hey, look what we're doing now. Blizzard releases episode 1 of Genesis, a new Overwatch anime series. This is
You know
something
what they didn't release?
the what's it
They
called,
didn't release
PvE.
the update that they promised you.
No, they didn't. Absolutely not. They didn't. And this is annoying for all of the same reasons because while Overwatch 1 was happening and we were begging for like lore and more development and like maybe like an animated series, they didn't touch it. But now that Overwatch 2 has gone and just like shattered my hopes in the IP, they just decide, yeah, you know what? Let's make an Overwatch anime. Yay! It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's there. Here's the little blurb that I have here. Blizzard has released the first episode of its new Overwatch 2 animated series, Genesis. Today's episode is the first of 3, and together the series will focus on Omnic robots and how they went from human-made creations to what they are in the world of Overwatch 2. In episode 1, Omnica Core scientists finally reveal the next generation of Omnics, and it doesn't take long for them to ponder whether what they have done is for the good of society or the start of a new crisis. So, in case you don't know, Overwatch basically, like the Overwatch lore is basically Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Like they make these robots, and then the robots end up being like self-aware, and because they're self-aware, it kind of turns into kind of like this question of like, well, we made them and they were things, but now they're people. So like, what rights do we have? What rights do they have, and what rights do we have to them? Like it's kind of a weird thing. And eventually, it doesn't take long for this to escalate because, like, kind of like whatever happens whenever you encounter man-made horrors beyond your comprehension, right? Like, suddenly the thing that I created has a mind of its own and it wants its independence, and I don't know how to deal with this. It's a Frankenstein's monster scenario where it only takes a little bit of both parties, the humans and the Omnics, tiptoeing around each other until the tensions rise too high and it eventually boils into an all-out war, right? Not all Omnics are bad, but some Omnics feel that humans are inferior, and this is how the whole Overwatch lore goes. So this right here could be kind of like the Animatrix, which was kind of like an animated companion piece that went along with the Matrix movies. Could be interesting. The art style looks clean. I don't know what else to say about it.
It's only 3 episodes, though.
Yeah, it's only 3 episodes. So
We're only going to get this episode, Bard.
yeah, because Blizzard's terrible about keeping to what they said, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if they would have said like a 48 episode, I would have been like, okay, there's going to be some content there. But no, this is it.
Yeah, this is it. So maybe it's good. I might watch it. I don't know. I still have a bad taste in my mouth from everything that happened around Overwatch 2, so we'll see. This next one is something that you might comment to as well, Dare. Any opinions on the whole AI thing? Yeah, we should probably put a stop to that. Yeah, like people are kind of relying a little too much on it to do a lot of things, which I'm like, you shouldn't let a computer decide that. Me personally, my biggest, like, we shouldn't allow this is self-driving cars. I'm like, I understand that your software might be advanced. There's no way that we're there yet. I don't trust it. But anyway,
I do like watching the like videos of people who have self-driving cars, and like the smart screen shows like a person walking across the crosswalk just get hit by a semi.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, smart car.
So I
So
kind of
yeah, the Hololive Mori Calliope having an outfit inspired by One Piece. Um, Usually around this time, it's usually like every year they go and get multiple different outfits for like their anniversary,
mhm,
and this is about the time that Hololive English Gen 1 uh, had their debuts
mhm.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So uh, I think last year they had like sportswear as their like casual summer thing. So it's kind of cool that she's getting like a One Piece themed uh, outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be like she's going to look like a pirate, or if she's going to look like one of the characters of the show or what. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
cool.
doesn't look like
It's
that's
cool.
been revealed yet. According to the blurb, it says that as part of a continuing collaboration with One Piece, HoloLive VTuber Mori Calliope will reveal a themed outfit on July 8th. Hey, that's tomorrow.
It's
Uh
actually 2 days from now. It's on Sunday for us, I believe,
oh.
because it's at what's 21:10 JST.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So, yeah, time zones. So yeah, so Sunday for us. So, July 8th, 2023, at 8 a.m., 9 p.m. JST. Yes. Um, yeah. So she recently released a theme song and music video to celebrate the manga's 106th volume, which, good lord, that is a long running manga. Um,
Well, she actually does a lot of different. I think she did music for like uh, 2 or 3 different anime games, like Genshin Impact, and she did music for a couple different animes and stuff.
yeah.
So the fact that she's doing another song for One Piece,
Mhm.
even if it's just like a manga, then that's still pretty big.
Yeah, no, that's
All
huge.
the all
Especially
the
because,
Mori haters are in shambles.
yeah, no, right? Because One Piece isn't exactly. I don't imagine that it's an easy collab to obtain. I mean, that has been for the past 10 plus years the best selling manga worldwide. So uh, this is huge. And we've mentioned before that VTubers aren't just, people who live stream. They're also like talented at a bunch of other stuff. For example, Dare is a very talented chef. And myself, I can balance basketballs on my nose fairly well. But Mori Calliope happens to have one of the better talents, which is singing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
some
so.
people, a lot of people, uh, quite a lot of people would disagree with you on that, but yeah, I enjoy her music. I
Yeah,
think she's pretty good.
yeah.
I enjoyed her pre Hollow Live music a little bit more than her Hollow Live music, but
Hmm.
yeah,
You feel like she's going too mainstream or something?
no, her the stuff she did before was kind of like a steampunk type
Oh, I see.
feel to it, whereas now it's like a heavy metal slash rap type.
Oh, I see.
It's different. It's a different feel.
I got you.
I liked her other stuff better.
So, what was I gonna say regarding this? Is I've recently started watching One Piece. I'm 70 episodes in. Uh,
You'll finish it by the time you die.
well, I mean, here's the thing. I started watching like maybe a week ago, and if a week ago I was, I was at 0 episodes, and now I'm 70 episodes in, which the reason why that is, it sounds like I'm watching a lot, but what I'm doing is I'm putting it to play in the background while I draw, and I usually draw for like a good 2-3 hours at a time, so I'm watching like 6 episodes or whatever, right? uh, and I'm quote unquote watching. I'm mostly hearing what's happening on the episode. But yeah, like here's the thing. It's not bad. Like I kind of understand the hype. Like personally, time will tell if it's worthy of 1,000 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
that seems like a little excessive. However, I can say this: it's really not bad. It's a really good anime, really solid, and I feel like compared to most anime, the selling point on One Piece, and I told this to Mordor. Uh, let's see. I feel like the appeal to One Piece is that it's not exactly like just two dudes beating each other up. That does happen in the anime. Dudes kind of fight all the time. But the big appeal of One Piece is a lot like Star Trek. It's about the exploration, it's about the adventure, it's about like the weird worlds, the fantastic creatures, like the interesting like, uh, kind of like political orientations of like different lands that don't exist, interactions between different races that exist in this fantastical world that's mostly ocean. So it's a lot of that, so like, hey, like the fish people think they're superior to humans, haha. And like, oh, the those with the devil fruit have powers, but how does the government deal with that? How does the government deal with so many pirates when the marines are bound to land by and large? They have ships too, but like, they're outnumbered by pirates. Oh, well, you see, the government kind of like looks the other way on some pirates, as long as they're being of some benefit to them, so on and so forth. So it's a lot of that. So there's that, the adventure, the exploration. So I get it. Like it's interesting, and it's not like anything out there, and it's also really funny. So yeah, huge props to mangaka Eiichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece. This is a long running series. He says he's winding up to a close, but he's been saying that for 5 years. I don't think he knows what winding up to a close means. So,
Huh. This sounds like someone that I know. It's just like so I'm gonna be done. And my thought here.
high fives to Mori
Someone's
Calliope.
heard.
Like you are, if you earned yourself a collab with One Piece, I mean that is a huge accomplishment. So, but anyway,
Fucking, I can't. I don't think he knows what winding up means.
moving
It's
on
pot
to.
calling the kettle black there, bud.
All right, so this is the second to last story coming up. Okay, it takes up 4 slides, but that's just because there's a lot of it. But we could breeze through it. It's fine. Uh,
I doubt we can breeze through it. If you
Fire
put 4 slides, there's no breezing through it.
Fire Emblem Heroes new summer
It's
units.
Fire Emblem. There's no breezing through it.
So Fire Emblem Heroes being the mobile game, the mobile gacha game where you get to play gacha to get your favorite Fire Emblem characters. And the thing is, they what's it called? They have every season they have kind of like new costumes for your characters too, right? So like we're in the summer season, so we have like the different summer units, which means that they'll be in their swimsuits. So we have here Ivy from Fire Emblem Engage is one of the units. We can see her here in like her splash art and like the full art and the different skills that she has. A lot of the times these units will have different skills too. So like if you have like regular Ivy and you have swimsuit Ivy, they'll usually play different from what they normally would. So, like for example, me, I have like shoot, like trying to think of a good example. I have uh Camilla is a good example. Like like certain Camillas will be an axe unit, but different Camillas will be like tome units. So like they'll be magicians. So like swimsuit Camilla, I think is like a tome unit, whereas like regular Camilla is like a regular axe wyvern lord. So it's kind of cool. Like you get new art for your characters, etc. So Ivy is one of them. The other one is Fjorm. If you've never played Fire Emblem Heroes, it has its own story plot. So it's not just, hey, play a gacha to get your favorite Fire Emblem characters and then just fight them. It's not that. There is a story plot, and it's based off of the 9 realms of Norse mythology. So a lot of the characters in it will be gods from Norse mythology. So you'll see like Thor and Loki and Heimdall, etc., etc. Fjorm being one of them. So this is Fjorm in the seaside thaw with her skills. And next up we have Tharja. Tharja being a very, very popular Fire Emblem unit. I mean, like she was basically like the poster girl for Fire Emblem for the longest time. As far as I can gather, I don't know. I got into Fire Emblem in 2019, but Tharja is by and large like she's like a cute goth girl, and those sell like hotcakes. So of course she gets a beach outfit, and if I'm not mistaken, this isn't even her first one. I'm pretty sure she's had some before. So
it's not even my final form.
Exactly. And then lastly, we have Ymir and Ire. Again, Norse mythology. So they're cute anime waifus in their summer attire, and they have their own unique skills as well. And all of these new units come with their very own paralogue, which in Fire Emblem terminology, you have your main story, your main campaign, and a paralogue is stories that are kind of like side stories. Like, they don't exactly affect the main story. You could very easily walk over them and not care. But usually completing them gives you some bonus loot that you must not you wouldn't get otherwise. So like you will get a brand new paralogue, and the rest of these units. So Ymir and Ire being a duo unit, Tharja, Fjorm, and Ivy are up for. You can obtain them if the pulls are good, but yeah. Let's see. And so this being said, Fire Emblem Heroes, very, very enjoyable. And now, like I told you it wasn't going to take long. For the final slide, baby, the One Piece 1000th episode 1000 dub premiere has a lot of problems. So we mentioned this before, but there was going to be a lot of premieres at Anime Expo, and the 1000th dub episode of One Piece was going to make its premiere there. And apparently it was a bit of a disaster because what happened was it wasn't even in the main convention center. They had it in a convention center that was like a block or two away. and there was
Your
no signs for
your premiere is in another castle, Mario.
yeah, basically, right? So your premiere's in another castle, and so it's far away from where the rest of the convention is taking place, and there's no signs, no directions on how to get there, and so people had to figure it out. And whenever they did, this is One Piece, right? So people are excited to see the 1,000th episode dub of One Piece. And so, like, it is a huge crowd, and apparently they were taking up the entire sidewalk. Like, so there was no room for like regular pedestrian traffic because all of these weebs were trying to watch the 1,000th episode of One Piece. And here's the best part: like the staff for the building where the premiere was going to be held did absolutely nothing to contain the madness. So it is
As you do.
right. So there's nobody out there kind of managing a line. And mind you, I volunteered at an anime convention before, and as a volunteer, it was my job to manage lines. Like, hey, like straight single file line happens here, single file line, single file line. Hey, if there's no more room to stand here, you got to curve around the corner because of fire hazards. You like kind of like make the line wind around the building. But nobody's doing any of that here. So it's just a mob of people walking up to a building with no one managing that herd. So it is just a crowd gathered around the outside of this building, and apparently it was just like a really bad time was had for all. Which sucks because apparently, like on the inside of the building, there was a very nice, like tribute to One Piece kind of setup where, like, people could walk in and see kind of like, oh, look that's an animation cell from like episode whatever, or look at this life-size sculpture of this very iconic moment from One Piece where Shanks gifts Luffy his straw hat, like etc. etc. But like it's just so many people going to this one thing, and knowing that this is One Piece and that this was such a milestone. Like, you would have thought that the convention organizers would have put like safety protocols in check so that this kind of thing wouldn't happen, but no. Their approach to this whole thing was like, they'll figure it out.
I mean, there's a couple conventions that have done that now, where they had more than they could handle, and then people were just like,
yeah,
we're not gonna deal with it. Actually, just don't kill each other.
Yeah, like, we already got their money. What do you want? Like, they already paid their entry fee, so like, my hands are tied here. I've done all I can.
So it's your problem now, random building that we rented.
Yeah, your problem now, random building. To have your staff figure it out. That's not what they're getting paid for. Why is that my problem? So yeah, like, kind of a mess, and honestly could have been handled a lot better. But this is what we got.
That is what it is.
It is what it is. And it being what it is being, we have reached the end of our episode. So I'd like to remind you again, please remember to like, subscribe, and share, because we're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers so that my grandma could be invited to the podcast. She doesn't have much time.
She said she wouldn't be on the podcast unless we were YouTube famous.
Oh, yeah, unless we're YouTube famous. She 100% said that. That was a thing they said. But no, so like, yeah, that's basically all of it. What did you think about all this stuff today, Dare?
It was stuff
It was
we talked about.
Indeed, yes, very much so. But with all that being said, I want to say thank you to all of you guys who showed up to watch us today. We had, of course, Royal Gargoyle. We had Agustin Martinez, Lord Mordor, Idiotic Synergy. Yeah, you guys rock. And other than that, yeah, dog, like, fun stuff this week. Join us on Sunday, where we will be doing the episode.
Something.
We'll be doing the episode that we skipped out on last week. We couldn't do the Guess That Anime based off of a background NPC because, unfortunately, Dare was indisposed. So we pushed that to this week. So Pimp Demon will be
I
trying to
was
guess anime
I was
characters.
dying on the side of the road
Yeah,
because of the storm.
Dare was carried away by a storm, and we had to go find him. So Pimp Demon will be trying to guess anime characters, or I'm sorry, what anime this NPC is from. And Dare, you will be competing against him.
And I'll be winning, is
I,
what you mean to say. I'll
I,
be winning against
I,
him.
I picked a lot of mainstream stuff. I tried not to make this difficult for either of you, because
Yeah,
quiz
and I'll
shows
win
quiz
because of
shows
it.
that we've had in the past have run into the problem where nobody knew the answer except for me. So this time I was just like, okay, what's popular? And I just went in there and picked something out of that. So with that being said, again, thank you to all of you guys. We have fun here. We try to have fun. I hold Dare against his will every week, and yeah, adios.
Adios.